Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Listen, let's get straight into it. Connor Gallagher is being heavily linked with Atletico Madrid, but not just a link. It's more than that. We've had a bid from Atletico, multiple bids, and finally a bid accepted. Fabrizio Romano reported a £33.8 million deal, and it's all been agreed by the clubs. Atletico Madrid are just waiting to see what Conor Gallagher's decision is, but he still hasn't given a yes or no to their offer. So obviously the clubs have agreed everything, but in terms of Gallagher's situation going to Madrid, he hasn't agreed a contract with them, and he hasn't decided whether he actually wants to go there in the first place to agree that contract. So a lot of drama, because I know there's a lot of people that love Conor Gallagher, and there are people as well who don't rate him. I am going to give my stance on this, and I'd love to know what you think as well. So let me know in the comments. Should we keep Gallagher? Should we sell him? What should we do with this guy? And do you think that the way he's being treated by Chelsea is fair? So, yeah, let's just give a bit of context to this. Obviously, Mauricio Pochettino loved Conor Gallagher. He also really liked Trevor Chalobah. The reason he ended up losing his job was because he was insistent on keeping those two players, and the club just didn't want to give him that control. They're very much, in terms of what Clear Lake do, you're either going to do what we want or you're not going to be here. And Enzo Maresca fits into the fold of managers who's willing to accept that. Some people call that a yes man. Other people would just say, listen, he's a coach, not a manager. This is modern day football. You need to accept that there's people in the boardroom, scouts making these decisions. Focus on what you can do with the players that you already have, rather than trying to do too many things at once. I think there's a good point on both sides, but at the same time, managers should be given a say. And yeah, so Pochettino lost his job because of this issue, and Gallagher was always going to be a key player under Pochettino. If Mauricio Pochettino was still at Chelsea right now, I would be in the camp of do not sell Conor Gallagher. And if you are going to sell him, you don't sell him for 33.8 million. That's ridiculous. That's one of our key players who's always fit, captain material, grew up Chelsea, supports Chelsea, proper Chelsea. Why would you sell him for such a cheap price? Why would you sell him anyway? I wouldn't accept anything less than 50 or even 60 million at that point. But under Enzo Maresca, I just can't see this working out for Conor Gallagher. And the club have come out and basically said to him that, look, we're going to offer you a deal. They've offered him a 2-year plus a 1-year extension deal, and they're not going to offer him any more. So they're concerned that with Maresca's high possession system, he's only going to be a squad player. And I have to agree with that. I have to be honest with you. I mean, Gallagher's rejected 3 of the contract offers from Chelsea so far. I think he's right to reject those offers. I don't think those offers are good enough, but I also don't think that Chelsea really care if those offers are good enough. What they want to do is offload him anyway. And the only reason they would offer him a short-term contract is so they can get a higher valuation for him later down the line. Which also doesn't really make much sense anyway, because if Gallagher doesn't play in Maresca's system, his value will drop. And you can see other clubs being able to pick him up for maybe 20 million. That's the way I look at it. But it's difficult. It's difficult. I mean, we know Gallagher loves the club, and he believes, according to Nazar Kinsella of the BBC, that he can survive under Enzo Maresca. I mean, I don't know what that really says. It's quite a vague thing, isn't it? Survive. I mean, yeah, you can survive on the bench and maybe get a couple of minutes, but he's never going to be a player who plays week in, week out in this system. Technically, he's just not good enough. He can score goals. He can be creative, but not in this system. Not for me, at least. I don't see Gallagher as the player who goes down and breaks low blocks. I don't see him as the player who drives the ball forward, picks the pockets of space, finds the passes, and creates things from nothing. We've seen Gallagher play his best football when there's chaos, or you know, when it's a counter-attacking system, a defensive system. He played very well at Crystal Palace under Roy Hodgson. He was exceptional under Pochettino at Chelsea, and you know, he deserves credit for that. But these are different systems to what Maresca is trying to implement at the moment. And I think Chelsea fans, if you do love Gallagher, I completely understand what you're saying. If you want him to stay, that's fair, but he doesn't fit the system. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to realize that. You don't need to understand football in a special way. Atletico Madrid is the perfect match for Connor Gallagher. Diego Simeone's style of football is literally the perfect suit for this style of player. He's a road runner. He loves defending, getting stuck in. He's a manager's dream. He does whatever you want him to do. You know those players who managers just pick every week because they just do exactly what you want. You had Ander Herrera at Man United. You've got Connor Gallagher at Chelsea. You've got I don't know, maybe Bernardo Silva at City. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out there. But there's some players who just play week in, week out because whatever the manager wants them to do, they do that to a T. And it's not just on the ball, it's off the ball, which is extremely important, especially in that defensive system. I know there's no doubt that Gallagher could initiate a press, and in a pressing system defensively, I don't think that would be a problem. But I don't think that's the issue. I think it's on the ball that we would struggle. So, yeah, I mean, it's sad. It is sad. Enzo Maresca's come out and said, you know, the only thing that he can say is that he's in contact with the club to find a solution. The club offered him a new contract. And obviously, Enzo Maresca's focused on what he's doing now. He said he would keep all the players if he can. And if any player in the squad, you know, he'll do his best to use them. The club are talking about a solution for Connor Gallagher, and I'm working on the game for Man City. Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I think, you know, Gallagher's been told that he's not going to have much of a role. He's going to be a squad player. This is not something special. Did any of you actually see him playing in that system consistently under Maresca? Do any of you actually think that's going to happen? For me, in this system, Shrewsbury Hall is an upgrade on Connor Gallagher. Chukwuemeka is going to be better playing in the midfield in this system than Connor Gallagher. I could say pretty much any player in that midfield, and it would be the same answer. Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, Lavia, Ugochukwu. I think they're all more suited to this style of football. Maybe Ugochukwu is the only one that I would say fair enough. Gallagher might be able to get ahead of him, but I haven't even seen enough of Ugochukwu to really make that judgment. So yeah, I'm not trying to sound really harsh here, but I think it's a good deal for both sides. I think that Chelsea are getting the proof profit they're looking for. They're also offloading a player that would have never fit into the system anyway. Atletico are getting Connor Gallagher at a half-decent price. And on top of that, he's going to be playing Champions League football under a top manager in a top league, in a top team. It's a good deal for both sides, right? We're not exactly talking about Gallagher going to the Saudi Pro League, are we? You know, this is Atletico Madrid. If I was him, I'd seriously consider it. I know he's taking his time. That's fair enough. But I think we need to accept that Gallagher's time at Chelsea as a regular starter is certainly over. If he wants to stay for another year as a rotation player and ride out the contracts, that's his right to do so. But I think it's in everyone's best interests to move on and just go ahead with this deal.